Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to DIY Art Plus. So I'm here with another painting and I'm gonna draw a bunny, a cute bunny. So I have this rough outline that I already draw. If you want to also draw the same thing, you can just take a screenshot of this video, this part, and you can just trace the whole bunny if you like. Alright, so now let's start with the material I'm gonna use. I'm using this canvas. It's 11 by 14 size. It's a panel, canvas panel. I always like to say this is you don't have to paint on a canvas. You can also paint on a paper, watercolor paper using a watercolor. And if you don't have a watercolor paper, paint on a cardboard. Who cares? Just have fun. All right. I'm also gonna use some acrylic paint. I'll show you later what color I'm gonna use. I'm also gonna use this carbon paper. This is for the tracing. Now if you don't have a carbon paper, all you have to do is draw an outline first on a piece of paper, flip it over, and just do this everywhere. It might take a little time, but this is what I was doing before I purchased a carbon paper. But if you're painting a lot, drawing a lot, it's a good idea to invest on this carbon paper. You can use as many time as you like. I'm using this paper for almost a year now, as you can see, so it's gonna last very long. All right, so now I'm gonna first draw the outline of this bunny on my canvas here, and I'll show you what I do next. So this is how I like to do it. The darker side is on the bottom. Okay, and I'm just gonna try to place it in the center. And also just do one more thing here. If you are using a carbon paper, is draw a little line. Make sure it's transferring, because what I did before is I draw the whole thing and I'm like, oh no, nothing is transferred because I used the wrong side. So make sure you test on a little area first, and I'm gonna quickly do this outline. Okay, so yeah, I'm all done. Again, this is just a rough outline, and this is how it gonna look like. All right, so I'm also gonna add some eggs down here. I'm gonna add a colorful eggs. So let me just quickly draw outline for that. Okay, so I also add some eggs on the bottom. I might again change the shape a little bit when I paint, but now let's start painting. All right, so I'm gonna go over with the colors that I'm gonna use. So for the bunny, I'm just gonna use a basic color. For the background, I'm gonna use more pastel, colorful colors. I'm gonna start with the bunny first. So I'm gonna use this burnt sienna. It's brown. I have two brown. This is burnt umber. I'm gonna use both of these colors. Okay, I'm also gonna use red, white. So that's all I'm gonna use for my bunny. For the background, I'm gonna use yellow, orange. So orange, yellow. I'm also gonna use this green. It's a light green. I also have a darker green here. Use both. All right, and I'm also gonna use blue. So I'm gonna use this regular blue. It says yellow ochre, but it's this one. Alright, so let's start painting. If I use any more color, I'll let you know as I go, but this is all I'm gonna use for now. Okay, so I'm gonna use this color for the bunny again. So I'm gonna use my flat brush for the background. I'm gonna start with the background first, and then I'm gonna work on the bunny. Alright, so I'm gonna use this flat brush I have. It's a number 10 size. Alright, so let's start with the background first. So I'm gonna start mixing the color blue and white. I again want to make my background more pastel shade, so I'm gonna use more white and less blue. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of white here and just tiny little blue. Okay, I'm just gonna mix a little bit of paint here first because I don't want my background to end up with just one shade. So what I like to do is I'm gonna start painting like this, and as I'm going, I'm making my paint, so that way I don't end up with just a one shade. Okay, I'm also taking a little bit of water. Okay, now if you want to also do one more thing, if that's easier for you, is paint the whole thing with the one color. When you are done with that, just apply a little bit of blue or white randomly and go back to blend that in that area only. You don't have to go everywhere again. So that way you're gonna have a different shade. That's the easiest way to do it. So let me go ahead and do this. This part is gonna take me a little time, so I might fast forward this background part only. And you can also do the edges slowly. It's okay if you go a little bit inside of your bunny. Okay, so here I'm all done with the background. I'm gonna use one more color here, which is a little bit of yellow. Okay, so I'm just using this regular yellow I have, and something like this. I don't wanna make it too yellowish, so I add some dabs here. Now I'm just gonna blend it all together. So let me clean my brush. I don't wanna use too much yellow here. So I'm just gonna clean my brush, make sure it's nice and dry. You don't have too much water. And I'm just gonna grab a little bit of white. Same thing I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna place it with the yellow again. Okay, now it's okay if you have white on your brush. I'm just gonna go over that area. You can apply axes like this and blend that together. You might have to do this part a little bit quicker. The quicker you're gonna do it, the easiest it's gonna blend. And the best part about using acrylic paint is if you don't like any part, just let it dry, go over with any color you like on top. So that's why I love using acrylic paint. I tried using oil paint before. I liked it. It's completely different experience than this acrylic paint. So if you're a beginner, start with the acrylic paint. All right, now I like this part. I'm gonna go over with just more white on this area. I think I applied too much yellow there, but that's okay. Okay, I'm just gonna apply also a little bit more white here. I'm just gonna make nice abstract painting here. It's not gonna be too perfect, so that's what I'm going for this painting. Okay, I'm also gonna use some blue. Same thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab a little bit of blue, just add some dots, depths. I'm gonna add more blue down here. Okay, now I'm just gonna blend this all together. Now I don't have much really paint left here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just apply this, blend this all together here. But if you have too much blue there, just clean your brush. Okay, I'm using a very dry brush here. I don't have any water. Not for this part. I'm gonna use a water in just a moment, but this is what it's gonna give you that nice texture. So I'm mostly applying this color down here. It's gonna work as a shadow, you can say. So that's why I always say is try to do the background a little bit quicker if you are planning to paint the whole painting in a one sitting. So it's hard to blend these areas. I'm just gonna grab a little dot of water, just tiny bit of water, and clean it if you have a lot of water. Okay. Now this is completely optional. You don't have to make the edges too dark, but I like to do it that way. It just brings your painting to more life. I'm not sure how else I can even say that. Okay, just one more area and then I'm almost done. Maybe right here and maybe a little bit here. So once again, apply the paint, blend that. Make sure you are using a dry brush, but if you feel like it's too hard to blend, you can take a little bit of water. Okay, now here it's hard to blend here, right? So I'm just gonna take a drop of water. Make sure you clean that with the paper towel here and go over it again. And there you go, I'm all done. Just gonna go around this ear because I also want to make that area a little bit more darker, more something that looks like more shadows there. Okay, so I'm all done with the background. Now I'm gonna work on my bunny. So let me clean my brush. I'm done with the big brush, so let me grab my small brush. So now there are a lot of steps if you want to paint animal, but I'm gonna try to make it as simple as I can today. So I'm gonna use, let's say, this small brush. This is number, I think, half size. Yes. Okay, so now I like to use a water spray. And I'm just gonna wet this paint I have so that it don't get dry quickly. Alright, so now I'm gonna start working on the darker area first here. So I already have a reference picture here for the bunny, so I'm just gonna follow that, but you can just follow this painting here. Alright, so again I'm gonna work on the darker area first. So I'm gonna try to find all the darker areas here, and I'm gonna use this burnt umber shade. Alright, and this is all the darker area here. So I'm gonna try to follow the shape of hair that my bunny have. So the hair for this ear is going up, so I'm gonna add my line that way. Now you really have to use a lot of water, trust me, you have to use a lot of water. So mix your paint with the water and apply this darker brown. Okay, I'm gonna do like a couple more layers here. So you can make it as thin as you like. You don't have to make it too dark. Okay, same thing on the other side. If you are working on a bigger surface, you can also use a bigger brush. Okay, so I'm done with the ear. I'm gonna also use this color just on the edges here. Now again, it's an abstract painting. You don't have to paint the same bunny I have here. Alright, so let me work on the face here now. Now my plan is to add flowers on the head. So everything you see right here, it's all gonna be with flower, but I'm still gonna use this color for now. Okay, so again, follow the shape of the shade of the hair. Now here, the hair is going out this way. So I'm gonna add my line that way. So this is all the shadows again. Okay, I'm just gonna work on this area now here. Now the pencil line that I added earlier, that was my reference line for this part. Okay. you might still see the pencil line here, but don't worry about that because I'm using a very thin paint here. I am gonna do one more layer, and that's gonna give more look of hair. So for example, if I show you right here, this area is dry, I'm gonna add hair like this using a thin paint. That's gonna make your hair, that's gonna make this area looks more like hair. Okay, all right, so let me continue here first with this all the darker area here. Okay, I'm just gonna, this is everything down here, it's mostly the shadow part, so let me add the hair like this here again. And I'm using a little darker paint here. I'm using less water for this area because I don't have to worry about adding a lot of layers here that way. So this is almost like watercolor. Okay, now the next part is adding some little lighter area. So I'm going to use this light brown I have here. It's a burnt sienna again. It's this one. Okay. Alright, and again I'm going to use a little lighter paint. And I'm gonna also use a water here. Okay, now I'm gonna start with the ear again. And this time I'm gonna try to create the shape of hair. So I'm gonna try to keep the line like this. I'm gonna start like this and add this type of lines to create that hair look. Okay, I'm also going outside of that line I have, so I'm going on the background again. That's gonna look something like this. Okay, same thing for this area here again. You might don't see a lot of difference on the video, but trust me, I'm adding this hair like this. Okay. Same thing on the other side here. I think I'm right-handed, so it's very easy to do this side. So now do you see how this line is really popping up a little bit more? Now I'm trying to do this painting a little bit quicker because I don't want to make this video too long, because I know that whenever I paint animal painting, my videos are way too long. So that's why I'm trying to paint as quick as I can. And hopefully it's not gonna be too long. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna do the same thing on the edges on this side. So now when you're adding this type of a tiny hair, you have to use a very light pressure, just barely touching my canvas with this. Barely touching my canvas. Okay, I'm gonna go one more time on the edges again and add more hair at the end. I'm gonna work on the face now with the same color again. Okay, now wherever the area is a little bit more lighter than this, I'm gonna work on that. Okay, so same thing, I'm gonna try to follow the shape, the shade of my hair. Okay, I'm gonna use a little lighter shade because this is a little bit darker. So let me add this darker brown first so you can see the difference. Okay, so I take some more dark brown, this burnt umber, and let me make this area slightly a little bit more darker so you can see the difference between these two colors. Okay, so now you can easily see the difference between these two colors. Okay, I'm also gonna add this color right here, and I'm really trying to keep this type of line, so again it's gonna look more like hair. The more layer you do it with the thinner paint, it's gonna look more like hair. So start with the very lightest color. I mean, not the lightest color, but use very thin paint and just keep adding more and more layer. That's gonna make a huge difference. That's what I learned in my recent painting class that I took. I never talked about that, but I didn't really I took a class recently. My instructor taught me that way, and after doing that way, I can never think of doing what I was doing before. So that really helped me to paint an animal. I really wanted to take a class, so that's why I took a class recently for that. All right, I'm gonna go back to this other color here. Okay, I'm gonna use one more color, and actually I'm gonna use this brush here because it's easier. Okay, so I'm gonna try using this brush. It's a flat brush. It's gonna be a little bit quicker. Okay, make sure your paint again is nice and thin. Okay, so I'm gonna do it this way. I'm not too worried about this area again, but I'm still gonna fill it with this color because I don't want to keep that area empty. Okay, I'm going over these two color here, blending that a little bit. Again, don't worry how it looks. I'm gonna do like more layers here in a second after I'm done with this color here. Okay, I'm also gonna use this color right here. This is the chin area here. All right, now here I'm also gonna use this same color. Again, this is all the shadows and hair, of course. All right, and same thing right here. Okay, I'm all done with this. I'm just gonna outline this area right here quickly. Okay, now I'm gonna use a different color. So let me clean my brush, and I'm gonna use my small brush for that. So this one right here, I'm gonna use this yellow color I have. So not this yellow, but this yellow right here. Okay, so let's see. If you don't have this color, I'm gonna put the name down here to make this color what you need. I'm not sure right now. I'm not that good at making colors, so I'm gonna be very honest. But I'll put it down in the description if you want to use this similar color, how to make that. Alright, so I'm gonna just use that yellow here, and I'm gonna start applying that right here. Now I like to again use a lot of water. Okay, I'm gonna blend everything after I'm done covering my canvas. I'm also adding some yellow right here. You might be hard to see it, but I'm adding a little bit here too. Okay, some right here. I'm just gonna cover the whole thing here. Okay, I have a little dark spot right here. I'm just working with all the dark spot and light spot here. Okay, I'm also adding some of this yellow right here too around the eyes. I'm gonna use a lot of white on this area, so you're not gonna see a lot of yellow, but this is just a background color again. So that's why I'm using a lot of water here. Okay, so now I'm gonna let this area dry a little bit. I'm also gonna use this color just very randomly right here also, and I'm gonna show you how I blend everything after everything is dry. Okay, while this is all drying, I'm gonna start working on the eyes. So I'm gonna use my black paint for this. So I didn't show you black earlier, so this is just the marsh black. Now if you're also doing this part, make sure everything is dry before you do this, because we use a lot of water here. It might bleed if it's still too wet. So mine is almost dry, so as you can see, I'm not getting a lot of paint. So let me go ahead and do the outline here. Now, if you are done with your eyes, you're like 50% done. Trust me. That's what it feels like. Even if you're not. So, you can take your time for the eyes. And I cannot talk when I'm doing tiny details. So, let me do this quickly here. Eyelashes, I'm gonna add that later. Perfect. This is looking so cute. Alright, I'm gonna do the same thing with the eyes and this little mouth. I also add like some lines coming from this area here. Just gonna bring this a little bit more out so you can clearly see this whole shape. Alright, so I'm also gonna add just one more line right here. Okay, cute, already looking so cute. I told you, it's like if you're done with your eyes, you feel like you are done 50%. Alright, let me clean my brush. And I'm also gonna use this color here, this same yellow. Also right here, forget to add that earlier. So again, follow the shape of the hair you think it's gonna be. Okay, I'm just using very light yellow here. As you can see, I use a lot of water and very light paint. It's really like a thin watercolor paint. And basically I'm just gonna cover all of the white area I have. There you go. Alright, now let me show you how to blend this all together. So I'm gonna start with the yellow color first. So let me grab some more yellow. take a lot of water. I'm gonna mix it all together. All right, I'm gonna start with the ear first. All right, now on the ear area, I have some of the area is still light, not too light, but still enough light. So right here, this is where the light is hitting, you can say, from left to right. So I'm just adding some hair right here. Okay, I also have some on this area too. So I'm adding hair like this. Now I know it might again it's hard to see sometimes, but I'm adding some yellow hair right on top of this area. Okay, let me go back one more time, just on the tip right here, and just some down here. Okay, now this area is again, it's the shadow area, so you're not gonna see a lot of yellow hair there, but I still add some there. Okay, I'm not adding anything here. Now I'm gonna work on this face. All right, so I'm gonna apply this yellow almost everywhere, but I'm gonna follow the shape of the hair. All right, so for this area right here, my hair is going this way, so I'm gonna add that way. So something like this. Just gonna add a bunch of hairs. I'm not gonna completely covering the darker area I have here, but you still see the yellow here. Okay, so something like this. Not gonna go too crazy, and I'm not gonna add like too many, but you can see the difference between this area here and this area here. Do you see a little difference? I add some yellow here. So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually do the same thing with all the colors that I used so far. Okay. Now trust me, adding this hair is sometimes not fun, but this is all about relaxing. So don't think too much, just go with the flow, and everything is gonna come all together. And even if it's just don't think too much, just go for it, and if it turned out good, it's good. If not, try again, right? So I'm almost done with this area here too. So now you can see the difference, that this area look like it's all blended. But again, I'm not done. I'm gonna use one more color here. All right, now let me do the same thing down here. Now because I used yellow earlier, if I add one more layer with the same color, you will clearly see the line that I'm gonna add. So that's why I always like to say start with the lighter color first. You can always make it darker. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about here. I'm gonna add hair like this. So you can see the difference here and this side. Again, you might not see a big difference, but there is a difference. Okay, I'm done with the top part. I'm gonna do the same thing with the whole face. Now again, follow the shape of the hair. Now this area here, my hair going this way, so I'm gonna add my hair that way. And I'm gonna apply this hair again everywhere. I'm also going on this darker area too. So I'm not going on this area right here because I'm going to use a different color there. I'm going to use like a red color there for that area and also for the ears. Okay, so I'm all done with this. Just one more area here. Okay, all right, I'm gonna do the same thing down here. So let me work on that area here first. Just working on the outline first. And I'm gonna use this bigger brush. Okay, now I'm gonna blend this all together again, same way that I did here. So let me clean my brush. I'm gonna grab my small brush again, and I'm gonna use this burnt sienna, this light brown, this one, and I'm gonna blend this all together by again adding this type of hair, just tiny little hair. Not to worry about the body here. My main focus is the face. But I mean, you know, my plan is also to add some greenery, so you're not gonna see a completely the whole body of this bunny. Okay, now I'm also gonna add this hair on the bottom because I don't want to make the whole my whole bunny yellow. Okay, I'm gonna go back with this dark brown again under this area right here. And I'm using a little bit of water. Okay, I'm trying to go as quick as possible because I want to really blend these colors like this. And there you go, that's all I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna go one more time on the edges because I want to make the edges looks more darker than the background, because I don't want to blend my background and the bunny here, so that's why I'm doing more darker edges. All right, I'm gonna clean my brush. Now I'm gonna go back with the darker with the burnt sienna again, like light brown, sorry. And I'm gonna do the same thing that I did on the face earlier to add a lot of hair with the yellow. I'm not gonna go too crazy this time with this color, but I still want to make some of the area more darker, so I'm gonna add this type of a hair wherever I wanna make it more darker. So this area is gonna be more darker because I'm gonna add the flower crown, and this is the shadows of that crown. Okay, and just adding random hair also on the whole full face. So I know that it might be a little bit trickier if you are working with something like this first time, but the more you paint, you're gonna get better. So if you are painting first time, it might, if it might not look like mine, just keep painting again. You don't really have to compare your painting with my painting. I'm just a resource, you can say, to help you a little bit with a little bit of basic stuff, you can say, that I'm showing. But the more you paint, the more you're gonna get better. If you are more into painting, just keep painting. So now you can see the difference between this area and this area. I have very less hair right here and a lot of hair over here. Alright, same thing I'm gonna do on the full face again. I'm also gonna add hair around this area too this time, because I'm gonna use some white later, and that's gonna help to look more like the shadows again. So sometimes I don't know how to explain you some part, but you can see what I'm doing. So I'm adding tiny little hair still here. So the darker area is gonna look more darker. The lighter area is gonna look a little bit more light, more darker, but not too dark. If that makes sense. Okay, so now you can see the difference again between this area and this area. So I'm gonna try not to fast forward any part of this painting. So this video might be slightly a little bit bigger, but if you feel like I'm showing you the same thing and you think you get it, you can fast forward the video. You can skip some of the part. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with the dark brown one last time, and I'm almost done. Okay, so this dark brown, I'm gonna use a lot of water again, And now again, I'm not gonna go everywhere this time, just where I want to make it more darker shadow. So I think this area looks already good. I don't want to go over too many times with this dark brown. So just gonna go on just some of the area right here. So I think this is looking good. Okay, I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I have more shadow right here under the chin. So this is the chin. I'm gonna make it a little bit more darker. There you go. I also want to add a little big smile, but I'm gonna use a red for that. So this is all the shadows again. So just working on the edges, you can see where the shadows start from. Okay, so that's good. I'm also gonna add the shadows under the eyes right here a little bit. Okay, I also have some shadows right here, or maybe some darker hair. You can see, cannot tell with the paint, with the picture I have here, but just following the shadows, the painting I have. The more I'm working on this, the more it looks cuter. I have more brown right here, so it's gonna define a little bit more this line right here, and also this area right here. Let me work on the pink and white for the ears. So I'm gonna use some white first. So I'm gonna take some white and just gonna cover the whole ear, all the white space I have left. Okay, now I'm gonna add some red. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take like tiny little red. You can also mix your paint on a paper plate or your palette if you like, but I'm using my flat brush, and the whole time I'm gonna use my brush this way, not this way but sideway. So let's say I'm gonna add a line here first. Okay, now I'm gonna blend this a little bit like this. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side here. Okay, I'm just gonna take more white and I'm gonna blend this all again together, and I'm trying to keep that line that I add here. Okay, same thing here. So half of the ear, I'm not half, but maybe this much of it, I'm not gonna see it. All right, now I can start using my white. All right, so I'm not gonna use a lot of water for the white, but I'm gonna still use a little bit of water. So here's what I'm gonna do. Just maybe a little bit of water. I want to thin down my paint, but not as much as I did with the brown earlier. So just maybe a little bit thin. And also you don't have to go over on one area a lot of time, too many times. Okay, I need more water. Okay, now here's the trick. After you take the paint, you just have to twist your bristles like this. That's gonna make your paint brush nice and pointy. And now let's start adding some hair. All right, so now I have again a light coming from the left to the right, so I'm gonna add some hair right here. I don't want to add a lot of hair, but you can see a little bit of touch of white there. Okay, some more on the tip here. Okay, just some also on the other side. I don't want to go too crazy with the white on this area, but just adding some. Okay, I'm gonna also add hair here, but I'm gonna let that pink dry first. So let me work on this side here first. So I have a lot of white hair on this area because this is where the light is hitting, and you can also see a reflection, the light, I guess, on the hair. So the hair are not white, but because of the light, it's gonna look more like white. I'm also going over the background. Okay, I don't want to go too crazy, but this is all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna add anything right here. Now I'm gonna work on the bunny. I mean the face. All right, so all the light yellow area you are seeing here, it's all white area. All right, so I'm gonna add more hair there. I might have to go back on the eyes later, but this is what I'm gonna do. Just gonna add bright white like this. Okay. There you go. Again, it's all hair, so I'm gonna add a lot of lines that looks like this. Okay, I'm gonna work on this area first. I'm just trying to keep my hair as long as I can make. So something like this. So first I fill all the space in there here. And this is what I'm doing now. Okay, same thing I'm gonna do here. So let me start adding hair like this. Okay, I'm going outside my, like on the background also here. Okay, I'm also gonna bring this hair down on the dark area I have on this area, I mean for this part. So I'm gonna do it this way, using a very light pressure. Some of the hair are more bigger, some of the hair are too small, so you don't have to be too precise for this. Just do it this way, it will be easier for you. Just start from top and bring it down. That's all I'm gonna do here. Just a couple more things left. I'm gonna add some more white hair on the ears. So something like this. The first thing I'm gonna do is add hair on this area here. Okay, so something like this. I'm just gonna add some longer hair. Okay, same thing on the other side. I'm just gonna have to turn my canvas this way. Okay, all right, so that is as close as I can get with the ears. All right, so now I'm gonna add some eyelashes with the black here. So I'm gonna thin down my black again. All right, let me work on this area here first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go under this area again. So something like, oopsie. So don't take too much water. Okay, so one more time. I'm gonna go under this area again and add some hair down here. Okay, and I'm also gonna do the eyelashes. So something like this. Okay, I don't want to go too crazy and apply too many lines, so I just apply maybe 4 or 5 here. I'm just gonna have to turn my canvas again, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Oh no. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, perfect. Oh, so cute. Sometimes I feel like so proud of myself. All right, I am also gonna do one more thing, is adding some darker, this black also, some on this area here. This is gonna make your shadow more darker. Okay, I'm just gonna thin down my paint a little bit. Okay, just that. And I'm gonna now use my pink again, my red again. So I'm gonna mix again my red and white, and I'm gonna use this right here under the nose. I'm gonna add a line there first. I'm gonna use my finger to make it slightly a little bit lighter. Okay, same thing for this area right here. Okay. I'm also adding this gray, light gray on this white area because I don't want to keep that area white. So I'm going to use like dark gray. Okay, same thing over here. So that's all I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna work on the other part tomorrow. Alright, so I'm gonna work on these eggs I have here. So now for that, I'm gonna start with the yellow color first. So this is the yellow I'm gonna use. Lemon yellow. I have 2 yellow and you can see the difference. I'm gonna use this one. Okay, and I'm also gonna use this flat brush. And I'm also gonna use this red. Okay, so I'm gonna just take some yellow. And again, I'm just gonna change the shape of these eggs I have here. So let me start with this one right here first. I'm gonna make it slightly a little bit more bigger. Okay, I'm just gonna add some red on the bottom. Now the light is again coming from the left to right, so I'm mostly gonna make the top of this area more lighter. I'm gonna add some white later, but for now I'm just gonna add this red here, and I'm gonna do a lot of layers here, to be honest. You can also add some design here if you like. I'm just gonna keep it very simple. Okay, I'm just gonna blend this all together, especially on the top area here. Okay, I'm gonna come back here later, but I'm gonna just place all my eggs here first and then I'll be right back here. Okay, this is the same size. I'm not changing the size for this one. Okay, and same thing, I'm gonna add some red on the bottom. And I'm gonna slowly blend that with the yellow here. So same thing. Okay, I'm just gonna use red. Okay, the next color I'm gonna use is green color. So I'm gonna use this green. So I have this dark green here. Again, you can take the picture of the color I have. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the color I'm gonna use. You can see the difference. Now I always like to say this is you don't have to use the same color I'm using. Like, you can just choose any color you like. It doesn't have to be same as mine. Okay, I just used some dark green. Same thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna apply this on the bottom. I'm gonna use this pink here. I'm gonna change this. I don't really like this large egg here, so okay, I'm just applying some white here because that pink is not looking like a pink, so I'm gonna change that by adding this white here first, and then once my white is dry I can add the other color. Okay, I'm gonna just cover this whole thing because I did not like that. Use this blue right here, it's a light blue. I'm also going to use some darker blue now. So this is the lighter blue I use. I'm going to use this dark blue. Okay. Alright, so now I'm gonna work on the shadows and then I'm gonna work on the lights. Alright, so for the shadows, I'm gonna use a little darker color. So I'm gonna use kind of a gray shade. So if you don't have the gray color, you can also use black. Actually, I'm gonna use a black, and let me show you how I apply these shadows. Okay, and for this part, I'm gonna use my smaller brush. So let's say I'm gonna use this one size. So I think it's this one here. Nope. This is number 0 size. So this is what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use this brush. It's a number 0 size. Okay, so now I'm not gonna use too dark. I'm gonna use very thin down paint. So I'm just gonna add a lot of water on my black paint. So it's literally more water and just a dot of paint. Okay, so now I'm gonna work on the one that are in the background. So for example, I'm gonna do the green first, and then I'm gonna do the yellow, and then I'll do this pink, and last I'm gonna do this green. Okay, so let me work on this area here first. So I'm gonna focusing on the edges again, like this. Just applying the outline, you can say, for now with this dark green. make sure I'm sorry, dark black, and make sure your whole area is dry. If you're gonna do this on the darker area, it might be a little bit hard for you to do it. Okay, so I'm mostly again doing the outline. I'm gonna do the outline for the whole egg. Okay, I'm gonna apply this paint a little bit more down here. Okay, now it doesn't have to be too perfect. You can just take your brush, apply the paint, and kind of blend that a little bit like this. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm gonna do the same thing with all the eggs I have in the back. So make sure you are using very, very thin paint here. All right, let me do this one here first. Okay. Let me thin down my paint a little bit more. Okay. You can also just use your finger if you feel like you apply too much paint to just make that lighter. That's how I like to do it. Okay, and if you feel like you apply too much, clean your brush. Make sure it's dry. You don't have too much water there, and go over with that area without taking any more paint, and just smooth out all the brush strokes. And there you go. That's all I'm gonna do for that. Okay, let me move on to this one here. I want to do this pink first before I do this green, so I'm gonna let that dry first, and then let me do this one here first. So here I'm all done. Now I'm just gonna do one more outline with just a black. So just on the right side, I'm gonna add this outline. So I'm gonna use a little bit less water than last time, but I'm still gonna make my paint a little bit thinner, so it will be so much easier for you to apply this line, and you don't have to go too many times on one area. So I'm just gonna basically do the outline like this, just on the right side. Doesn't have to be too perfect. It's okay if it don't look like a straight line. You don't have to make it too straight. You can just do it this way too if you like. So just add a choppy line, you can say. So something like this, you can see this clearly here. Right there. All right, now I'm gonna add some white, a tiny little paint. Okay, now I'm just gonna add some white like this. Okay, I'm gonna do like a lot of layers here, so I'm just gonna apply the paint, and then I'm gonna use my finger to make that a little bit lighter. Okay, so again, make your paint a bit thinner. Okay, so same thing, let me apply some paint like this. Not, you don't have to apply everywhere, just on the top left side, and then I'm going to use my finger to make it lighter. Okay, same thing I'm going to do for all the eggs. Okay, I'm just gonna go back on just some more areas, just some of the area, I mean. So for the yellow, I'm gonna go one more time. Because instead of this yellow, I wanna see white there. So that's why I'm just going one more time. Now, if yours is not, if you feel like yours is perfect, you don't have to go way too many times. Okay, and after I'm done, one more thing is I'm gonna add outline with the white, but this time just on the left side. So let me show you. So something like this, just adding a line like this. Doesn't have to be again a sharp line, you can just add a choppy line too. So something like this. Okay. Alright, so now I'm gonna work on the flower crown here. So for that, I'm gonna use some green. So I'm gonna use a lot of water. I already thinned down my paint a little bit here. Okay, and I'm just gonna add some flowers here and some more greenery, more greens, leaves. So I'm gonna start with adding an outline basically. So this is gonna be the flower. So this is how I'm gonna add. I'm just gonna add some lines starting from the head coming out. So make sure your paint is thin. This part might look a little scarier at first, but just follow the process, you'll be fine. So think of this is all the leaves on your crown. Okay, and on the center, I'm gonna add some flowers. So we are working on the background first. So you can watch me first if you are not sure what I'm doing here. So you can watch the full crown part and then you can do this part. It will be easier for you to understand. Okay, I'm also gonna add some more leaves on these leaves, so something like this. I'm just randomly adding this type of line. It's not even touching anything. Okay, now you can do this area later if you like. I'm gonna start working on the flowers. So let me finish this green first, and then I can add some flowers. Okay, now I'm also going to use some dark green. So I'm going to use, again, let me show you both of the colors, both greens. So I use this light green, and then this is the dark green. Okay, again, I'm going to use very thin paint. Same thing I'm gonna do. You just kind of have to add layers and layers to get a nice nice crown for this. So I'm gonna start with the dark now. Once I'm done with the whole thing, I'm gonna go back and add more lighter green here. So I'm barely touching my canvas, just using tip of my brush and adding this type of lines. Don't be afraid to do something different. Okay, all right, I'm gonna start adding some flowers. I'm almost gonna use the colors that I use down here. So let me start with the yellow flower. So I'm gonna use bigger brush. That's gonna be very quicker and easier. So I'm gonna use the yellow paint, yellow first. Again, I'm gonna make my paint a little bit thinner. So I'm gonna add some yellow flower right here. Okay, I'm also gonna add one more. I'm gonna add red in the center, and I'm gonna add yellow one more right here. It's nice roses, small little roses, I think. All right, I'm also gonna add one more yellow. Let's see, one more right here. Okay, same thing. I'm just gonna add this red flower in the center. Okay, it doesn't have to be two circle. Like, you don't have to add your flower in the shape of circle. Okay, I'm also gonna add some pink, one more right here. This red is a little bit smaller. You can again place your flower wherever you like. You don't have to completely follow again this flowers, or I mean the placement of this flower. So I'm gonna use this purple, rose, pink, purple. You can overlap your flowers. You don't have to just find a space for it. So as you can see, it's my paint. My pink paint is already thin. I'm gonna just go back and make some of this flower a little bit more bigger. So I always like to start my flower with the small, especially when I'm working on something like this, because I can always make it bigger if I feel like, if I want to. Alright, so now I'm gonna start adding the petals. So I'm gonna use almost the same color, but I'm gonna make that paint thinner, a little bit lighter, using white. So for example, for this red, I'm gonna use red and white. And for the yellow, I'm gonna use white and yellow. So let me show you. So for the red, I'm just gonna take a little bit of white and I'm gonna make my paint light pink and add the shape of the petals. Now I'm just gonna keep it very simple. This is how I'm adding. This is abstract painting. You have to make it too perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna add the rose petals like this. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm gonna work on the yellow now. Now for the yellow, I'm not gonna use white because that's not gonna make any difference. So I'm gonna use orange color. So again, just orange. I'm gonna add some white on these flowers, and I'm just gonna add more green around. So let me just add some white. So I'm just gonna add white on some places, not everywhere. So let me show you this red flower. So I'm just adding some petals like this. Not a lot, but mostly on the top left side, because that's where the light is coming from. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but just maybe a little bit. Okay, so again, you just have to add more green and just keep adding more and more layers with the green, light green and then dark green. Okay, I'm just adding this type of line around the flowers. Okay, let me clean my brush. I'm just gonna add some yellow lines, and then I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm not really gonna go too crazy with this, but something like this. Okay, just maybe some down here. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back on the background again, and mostly I'm gonna use my finger because I don't want to like add any brush strokes here. I don't want to really see any brush strokes, so I'm gonna start with the green. Actually I'm gonna start with this pink here. Okay, I'm mostly gonna use all the colors that I used for the whole painting. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just using very thin paint, this pink I have, and adding this type of pink here. Okay, and same thing with the red pink. So this pink right here. I don't want to blend these colors with the background color, so that's why I'm not using my brush, because sometimes if I use a brush I feel like I am gonna really blend it with the colors I have in the background. So that's why I'm just using my fingers and adding this kind of a little messier look. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with the yellow. Now I don't want to use yellow a lot because I already use yellow on the background, but it's just making just some area a little bit more darker yellow. Okay, this part is a little bit messier, so okay, again I don't want to make this whole painting too yellowish, but this yellow is looking really good, so that's why I'm using this yellow down here too, and also some right here. Okay. Okay, now on the edges, I want to use a little bit darker color. So I'm gonna use black. I want to use black. Let me try a little bit of black on the edges first. Let me try using this red first. Okay, so I'm gonna try using a little bit of red. If I don't like it, I'm not gonna do it. But I really want to make the edges a little bit more darker. That's my like new thing. I want to make the edges for all the painting that I'm recently making. I want to make it darker, dark black. Okay, I'm gonna start with this edge. So I'm gonna just add a black like this. I'm using a lot of water again. Ooh, I like that. Okay, I'm just using a lot of water because I don't want to make it too dark. Oopsie. I don't know, do you like to paint with your fingers? I like it. I actually love it. It's like I'm adding more on the bottom, just maybe a little less on the top. Okay, what do you think? I think I like it. I'm gonna do the whole thing. Okay, so first I apply and then I'm using my finger to smooth out that line that I'm adding. Okay, I'm gonna go back just one more time on the edges and adding this type of line, not blending that too much because I like how the black line looks like on the edge. That's all I'm gonna do. Okay, now I'm gonna go back and add some more green, more grass on the bottom. So again, I'm gonna use my small brush. For that, I'm gonna start with the light green and I'm also gonna use some dark greens. So most of the grass are starting, it's all in the back here. So I'm gonna add some lines going up like that. Make sure you have a lot of water for this part because it will be so much easier for you to add these lines. I'm gonna make my grass nice and tall. Okay, some of them are like really tall. Alright, so yeah, I'm all done with this painting. I hope you guys all have fun painting this painting with me if you painted with me. And if you did not paint it with me, try this out. It's a little bit long video. I know it's took me a little bit longer time to paint, but you can just paint one thing on a one day and finish it on the second day. That's what I did for this painting. So yeah, here I'm all done, and again, I hope you guys all have fun watching this and painting this. And if you have any question, please let me know. And I love to see your painting if you want to share your painting on my Instagram. And yeah, thank you again for all the support and for watching my video. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel and also like this video if you like this video. And I will see you next time for another painting or maybe a DIY. All right, bye. Thank you again.